Welcome to the Fit Diet Podcast, where we'll learn the processes and habits of healthy eating, exercise, and lifestyle. Food for fitness, if you will, with the founders of mindmusclememory.com, Miles Betcha and Greg Rando. Miles' expertise with programs and coaching have led him to training thousands of clients all over for the last 2 decades with enormous success, and he's dedicated himself to transforming the course of fitness and health for many. And his partner Greg has his own unique skill set as a professional in the world of bodybuilding, with the ability to teach and inspire all he comes in contact with. Join me now as we discover the secrets of sticky fibers and proper habits and how to implement the mind-muscle memory lifestyle. Welcome in and thanks for listening. And welcome to the Fit Diet Podcast for another episode brought to you by M3. mindmusclememory.com. Be sure to visit mindmusclememory.com and get exclusive information, news, articles, blogs, videos, and even some swag. They've got a cool shop where you can check out, get some gear, some t-shirts for men and women, tank tops and whatnot. And we are joined today in this episode, as every time we come together, by the co-founders Miles Betcha and Greg Rando. How are you guys doing today?
Great, Bobby.
Feeling pretty good over here, Bobby.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, the last few episodes, fellas, we've been talking an awful lot about sticky fiber and the dietary side of the equation, which is one of the major components, obviously, of getting ourselves into fine shape and operating at peak performance. One of the things I think that is overlooked, but I think is equally important, if not more, and I think you guys may concur, is the mental side of that equation to fitness. And today we're going to look at the mental side of movement and the importance of being present while we're training. And Miles, why don't you get us started and give us your take on the importance and the value of the mental side of movement, please.
Sure. Thanks, Bobby. Wonderful intro as well. Thanks, Bobby. What we like to do at Mind Muscle Memory is really gain a perspective as to what the body's doing when we are asking it to do something. So we say, the mental side of movement is when we ask somebody to perform a shoulder movement, say a shoulder press, and and we notice they tend to use a lot of tricep, a lot of arm. And it's kind of easy to tell both because we have this ability to weigh like the kinesiology of it, like direction of the movement, but also we use a lot of, touch and touching and feeling of the muscle so people can get what we call the proprioception, or like the feel of the muscle tightening and stretching. And more times than not, we find people that are not aware that they're not moving the muscle correctly. So as soon as we bring it to their attention and they say, well, I have to really think about that in order to get that one muscle to move better, instead of like dysfunction, we say are compensating for the muscles, are compensating for that joint to move. They're using their tricep too much to move their arm overhead. And that's the kinesiology of it. And we say to them, put your mind into this, but mentally focus on that muscle. And it stimulates a pattern change for both themselves, the person who's really thinking about it, because they're like, wow, I'd like to move that better. We say, we would really like you to move that better because we want you to get the results, right?
Sure,
and then,
sure.
But they say, I'd really like to get better with that movement because it makes me feel like I'm accomplishing this better. So, so that's where we sort of start on that, the mental side of movement, I believe, and Greg can add on to that. What would you comment on that, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, you said it well, Miles. We try to stress to our clients and individuals how important it is to, I think Bobby said it, be present, be in the moment. We want to try to keep our focus off the televisions, even off the mirrors in front of us, and try to use our mind and our body and connect the two and try to develop other means of of instead of visual all the time, instead of watching yourself, which may distract you in certain ways that you don't even know, pay more attention to what you're feeling and what you're feeling from left to right and front to back. And, doing this is going to allow you to make those neurological connections that are, just super important to keep the muscle functioning properly throughout the movement.
Yeah, I think when you have that mind muscle connection, you're going to also maximize your progress, right? I mean, you're going to be more efficient. I see a lot of times folks in the gym, and I'm guilty of it too, Greg. You get involved, you'll not only look in the mirror, and you get distracted, but you'll look at others. And I think when we find that what's the word, Miles? Kinesthetics or
the kinesiology or the movement kinesiology.
Kinesiology, right? So when we tune into that and we get the right pathway. Then we can kind of sear it into our memory and, sear the correct motion into the memory so that it becomes more of a fluid motion.
Yeah.
Would you agree? Less, cumbersome.
So what you're trying to say is like the kinetic chain.
Yes.
So, when we do something fun, like, maybe rowing. So, I like to get in a canoe or paddle a kayak because it's kind of relaxing to be out there. It's fun. You actually burn some good calories when you're out,
right.
Doing a kayak or something. But if your motion is not your kinetic chain, the way your hip position is and the way your core movement and the arm extension is, if you don't get that kinetic chain right, then you're going to cause this dysfunction. Can cause pain, but you're not going to have, like you said, be efficient. You're not even going to. You might feel somewhat efficient, but you could be using other muscles to compensate and not be hitting all the right muscles.
Yeah, I think it's a big challenge for a lot of folks to get into the gym to begin with. Okay, they have an idea in their mind's eye where they want to be physically, and thus feel mentally and everything. But when we get into the gym, if we can maximize the effort through that kinetic chain, you're going to be in and out that much faster with better results, I would think. And that appeal, exactly. That's got to appeal to the procrastinator and myself and others, I'm sure.
Yeah, being efficient is, I use that word a lot, efficiency, and when you're working with people and, for example, I was working with somebody the other day on the leg extension because she was talking about how her knees hurt every time she does it. And, we talked for a little bit and I helped her to understand that she's moving the weight from more of the distal point, the furthest point from her feet. She's trying to push that lower bar and lift that up with her feet, rather than understanding the proper posture needed to be able to have the hips in the right position, then to be able to derive that movement from the core. And it just real quickly, she was able to get her quads burning like she never felt before and had no knee pain. And it was just a different mental approach, a different way to focus on what she was doing. And that's what we, as coaches at M3, try to help people do is, not to just go in the gym and push and pull your way through the gym. Every exercise is specific, and in order to target properly and use those movements, target those muscles specifically, we need to stabilize in areas. In order to target one area, we need to stabilize another area. And we've all seen people with wraps around their knees and elbows, and everybody's got elbow pain from doing biceps. And, I think it just seems like everybody has sore elbows, and that can be alleviated. The majority of it can be alleviated just by stabilizing the shoulders properly and not lifting with the hands, but using the stability in the core to allow the biceps to do the pulling instead of lifting from the furthest point and recruiting other areas and joints. So it really is a mental and I hear it all the time too, because for a lot of our listeners might know that I'm visually impaired, and I shut my eyes a lot, and I just kind of do it naturally during my set, and I think just kind of helps me get my mind in my muscles more. And I hear it all the time. A lot of people that know I do that and see me do that, they also do it and comment frequently on how much more focus they have on their target areas by keeping their mind in their muscles instead of, trying to look at it from another perspective, maybe in a mirror. It's not going to be the same.
You can really harness that energy. I mean, the mind is so powerful. And, when you open up your eyes to those other senses, and your ears and everything, it just kind of takes away from that laser focus that you could have when you concentrate and focus. You bring up a good point too, Greg. We go into the gym and a lot of the machines, they're pin selectorized, right? So you go in and you mentioned a gal that had the issue with her knee joints hurting on the leg extension. Now, the manufacturers of these machines are, it's kind of tough to make a one size fits all, right? So a guy that's 6'2", weighs 220 pounds, well, it may not, suit Mrs. Tea Kettle, who's 5'4" and 130 pounds. So the importance of getting in and enlisting a coach like someone from the M3 group, the M3 group, folks, you can really work with that individual and maximize that machine to get the most of it out of it, not only mentally but to keep them pain free. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean that's. And I want to, and I'd like to, because what you had mentioned, Bob, was pretty good. Searing it into your memory, searing it into your mechanics,
right?
And even somebody that is going to become a very high level professional, say the muscles it takes to throw a football. A certain speed or a certain distance, in both speed and distance, for that many times, year after year, for a decade or two. We've had quarterbacks that'll throw an excellent football, speed, distance, everything for years and years and years. And what they've done, you can see physically, it's like they don't have to see themselves move in the mirror anymore. They don't have to, right? They have flexing their body to move their body to get their kinetic chain to release that football wherever instantaneously they want it to go. So it's at any kind of level, we need to sear it in. Now, with the M3 group, like you said, we're looking at specifically testing and evaluating with the client, with you, to make sure that every piece of the kinetic chain, whether it's your shoulder or your elbow, like Greg said, or your knee or your hip, we're working with you to kinetically make sure that you're moving each side, testing each side, making sure that you feel it properly, and then you can continue to build like a whole season of that into it. So, sometimes we work with people, we almost call it the first, preseason, because it takes that amount of time to go through the testing and the communication to get it so that all those pieces work. Then you can really start hitting it hard, as we talked about before, and really searing it in and building a lot more out of the body.
Yeah. It's funny. Speaking of that, at the risk of overusing searing, so say somebody's been at it for whatever length of time. Well, in a sense, if they're doing it incorrectly, have they not seared that incorrect motion, movement, kinetic chain into their memory bank as well, right? So there's that gestation period, as you mentioned, an evaluation and a preseason where you have to say, look, we're gonna have to unlearn you there, son. We're gonna have to unlearn you, and then get a baseline where you can actually build on the proper foundation. Because man, I know that golf is a perfect example. I look at the TV screen and I think I'm Justin, Rory McIlroy. In reality, I have so many bad habits because I've seared and I've, without a lesson, without somebody to coach me up, I'm going to continue in that vein till eternity, until hell freezes over. So,
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's we tell people, Miles, at our club back in outside of Boston, we used to tell people when they come in, blank slate, clear everything from your mind, all your experience and a lot of times bad habits. Just let's start from scratch so we can ingrain and instill new habits and new patterns.
Yeah. Oh, sure. And it's the toughest thing is when you have somebody inexperienced. I should say somebody trying to give somebody advice just after you work that person to get something that they're trying to relearn, and then they have their friend being like, "No, do it like this as much as you can do." Put it up.
That's classic. That's so classic.
They're like, no, please, take one step at a time here.
Yeah.
It's actually a little bit tough. I've done a good. We both have done a lot of work with even the younger age group where our clients want them to work with their high schoolers and stuff like that, and we have a lot of inexperience going on there in those high school weight rooms. That is just they don't understand the process of progression and doing it properly.
Is that the coaches or the?
Well, no, just the student. I'm just saying the coach could say squat properly like this, but then you get 15 kids together and they're in there without the coach and they all push each other and they learn bad habits quickly. So.
Go figure. So yeah, I think the mental side of it is not only equally relevant. I think it's so powerfully important. So that from the mental side, you can improve movement patterns. That's the kinetic chain that we spoke about. We can improve muscle fiber recruitment. We can improve neuromuscular connection, improve muscle memory, and the ability to repeat movements correctly again and again and again. And I like the equation too. And the first word in the name of your company, fellas, is what? It's mind.
Mind.
So mind plus memory. I'm sorry, mind plus muscle equals memory. So it is so key. And, there's that old adage, Miles, that, it takes, and I don't know what the truth is, but I do know there is a time factor and time frame involved. It takes 21 days to form a habit. Well, first we make our habits, and then our habits make us. And I think that when we can carry that mindset over into the gym and the fitness realm and to trying to achieve our goals, we'll go a long, long way to our success. That's for sure.
Yep,
absolutely.
Yep, definitely. Yep.
And we're trying to, I try to help people understand by my past experiences. Just because your chest isn't growing, it doesn't mean that you need more weight. Because usually what happens then is the shoulders begin to hurt more and more and more. And I was talking about this to a young kid in the gym, saying everything's growing but my chest. And I watch him do chest, and his shoulders are just really the only thing moving. And until we understand really, how to target areas and safely recruit those muscles, and continue to repeat those patterns over and over and build strength in those areas, we're going to just continue to affect the muscle the same way all the time. We just recruit the same 30 to 40% of the muscle when we can utilize the whole area and get more strength and translating in more development. So it really comes down to understanding where our weaknesses are and trying to identify those weaknesses and work on those weaknesses, whether they're stability, postural, or just muscle strength, and just continue to implement those areas of weakness so you can get past those plateaus and progress.
Yeah. Certainly. And that's I just want to touch on real quick, and that's why we, one of the proven success methods that we is highlighted and we talked about already in another episode was the muscle finder method. And, you have to be able to get the control to the muscle first, get it neurologically functioning properly and with the right muscle pattern. And then you can really start to build after you've recruited that muscle, you can really start to build the strength and capacity of it. Then as that adapts, that's when you can adapt it. You can't really adapt it if you move it properly. The adaptation only starts occurring then after you found it and you start, working it more and more to adapt it to the repetition sets and the resistance levels. Then once it starts adapting, then we can really have a nice output. We can, continue to build on it, but we have to find it and get the function and then adapt it after that. And then we can really start accelerating.
Yeah, big time. Greg, you had a quote in the article that Miles wrote here on mindmusclememory.com back in November of 2019, not too long ago, where you say, when you move, you should be using your muscle, not your connective tissue. And that's exactly that harkens to the gal that was hurting her knees on the leg extension. The muscle finder is the muscle finder method is key. Miles, in that article too, you wrote about being present, presence of mind when we're in the gym. Mm-hmm. Are we thinking about what's for dinner? Are we thinking about the guy that ticked us off at the office earlier today and who we're going to tell off next time we have a phone call? Or are we worried about the mortgage payment? Speak a little bit more about being present, because I think as it there's so much being talked about, live in the moment, and Om and, the new agey thing, but it's really not. It's practical application, or it's practical insight, right? When we can apply.
Yeah, it's true. It truly is practical application, because, when I would say that being present means you're actively engaged in your chief aim. Like, what's your aim to accomplish here? And that would entail, well, I'm here to recruit these muscles, get them to adapt, and that's my chief aim for this time period that I'm in this scheduled time slot, right? Because you can't be there all day. Sometimes we'd like to be at a gym for longer than we can, right? But other times, like you said, we want to be efficient. We want to engage in that chief aim and come up with a result. So in each time that we go into the gym, we should literally feel, and I try to practice, we try to get our clients to literally feel that you made an adapted change during that workout. You recruited better muscles. You got the muscle to get a pump to it. You got a burn in these areas. You improved just in this being present, you achieve that. And if you're not present, well, then you can go through the whole 45 minutes, hour and a half, whatever time you're in the gym, and you're not doing anything to direct your mind to get that stuff done. Then you walk out and you're like, oh, did I do anything right today? Right. You weren't present for it. Yeah.
Well, it's true. It's like when we make an investment, right? Why do we make an investment in anything, whether it's financial, our bodies, our diets, our relationships? It's to get a return. Why would we show up to the gym less than prepared to get a return on our investment? That's just squandering our physical monies away, if you will, or expending energy for the sake
our
of
time,
and our time, which is more valuable than money. So, yeah, that's so key. Well, we are talking today about the mental side of movement with the fellas Greg and Miles from mindmusclememory.com. Guys, what else do you have to say in light of the mental side of movement that we could share with our audiences before we bring the episode to a close today?
Well, let's see. Well, as an M3 coach and working with individuals about abilities, one thing I like to convey to the client is that you don't have to. You can walk into a gym sometimes and see just multiple machines all over the place, and it just can be overwhelming. It can be intimidating. Yeah. And what we want to get across to people is let's just focus. Let's just get our mindset right when we come in the door. We're not here to just push and pull and tear our bodies apart and set records and impress anybody. We're here to make change, take advantage of an opportunity to make change. And, what we try to do is just break it down, be simple. Let's understand posture. Let's implement these 2-3 basic postural principles. Now we can we can implement those while we're standing, while we're sitting, while we're lying. Then let's try to get in position with our knowledge and stabilize an area where our posture is correct, so we'll be able to implement the core. Then we can stabilize the areas that need to be stable. And I tell people, you don't have to know too much. If your posture is correct and you're stabilizing your hips, your scapula, your shoulders, whatever your exercise you're doing, you're going to target pretty well the muscle that you're intending to target. Not only that, a lot of times your range is going to be limited. It's going to be limited to the range that's proper. We've all seen probably, people just going, everyone thinks the bigger the range, the better. And it's really, I find it to be the opposite.
The opposite, yeah. So
if the opposite, we're targeting the bicep. It stretches up, it tightens down through the arm. We're not pulling the shoulder out of position, in and out of position with every rep. So if we can just simplify and focus on posture, stabilize the big areas of the body, and then just pay attention, keep our mind connected to our muscle, build those muscular neurological patterns, feel the range, feel how your position helps you to dictate not only the range, but where the isolation is. You can go in, I want you to be able to go into a hotel gym or a school gym or anywhere you are and be able to just focus on these few principles. Yeah. Don't get overwhelmed with the different types of machines here than they are at the gym you work at. Different company makes it different. We don't need to get overwhelmed. We just try to focus on those the basic principles that can help us be effective and safe, and take advantage of every opportunity to be healthier, not to break ourselves down to the point where we need now repair. Beyond the muscles, we don't want to create wear and tear on the body, and that's what we try to do at M3. We try to do things properly and be efficient and effective with our protocols.
Get a return on your investment. You mentioned posture.
Yeah, I know.
Every time you mention posture, I gotta sit up straight and put my shoulders back. Thanks. Damn.
It's huge. You can't do a proper ab crunch if your posture is bad. You can't hold your shoulders in position in doing on a chest press if your back's rounded. So the postural principles they're really first and foremost, and to just be aware of how we're sitting and standing, and try to get that core to help form some stability, so then you can take stress off other moving parts.
Yeah. And one part of it that I was thinking of when you were saying, I want to, you said about the core and the positioning, and we're really layering this in, we didn't try, I think I mentioned that, we didn't try trigonometry equations before we learned what some angles were, how to add actually first, right? And then we didn't, so we didn't learn physics of ball rolling and speed and all that stuff before the trigonometry. We layered in the different parts of our learning for mathematics or whatever it would be that we're, accounting for numbers, or even sentence structure for writing. So we have to understand that, like if you talk about the gym, well, a standard has always been get a year membership to the gym, because it's not going to be 20 workouts and then you're all done and all your muscles are solid tone and metabolically active. 20 workouts we'd be done within a month. Exactly. And we wouldn't need a year membership. But we're going to layer in more stuff, layer in a stronger postural position, layer in a better movement with your thighs so you're not pushing with your feet, your quad muscles. So you got to keep layering these things in and give yourself some time to build those layers and all that learning and motor learning and memorization, sear it in, so that mentally now you're stronger. Mentally now you're more resilient as well.
Excellent points. I love that. It's so true. You got to, it's crawl, walk, run, and Boy, nothing. Well, the whole thing is to stay, efficient. Let's get the results, the desired results. Make the investment, and just pay attention to these fundamentals. And as we layer upon layer, it'll become second nature, regardless of a location or type of equipment, as you alluded to, Greg. It's really not that intimidating. It can be overwhelming, but that's why we need to, as you say, engage your mind as you move, when you exercise and participate in physical activity. Engage our mind, and that'll improve our movement over time. It's not an overnight fix. It's a lifestyle, guys. And I think the best way to implement the lifestyle is to get with the right coaches. The coaching team at mindmusclememory.com has all that for your benefit and your edification. Pay a visit to the website. Look at the blogs. Check out the videos. Engage and reach out. Get on the email list for updates and newsletters. I think you'll be all the better for it, and you'll see that return on the investment that much sooner. Guys, what a great episode, no?
Yeah, excellent.
I love it. Well, you've been listening to another episode of the Fit Diet Podcast, brought to you by M3, the mindmusclememory.com fellas, Mr. Miles Betcha, and co-founder Greg Randall. And until next time, we bid you farewell and take good care. Thanks for listening.